Well, hello, light enthusiasts. Ron Howard back at it again after a little break from making tutorials. Been a busy boy, but I am excited to announce I've finished another Halloween sequence. And this one's got some heavy use of P10 work with a lot of video stuff and my second matrix and all sorts of effects going on in the house. I've got my submodel working on the pumpkin, and even here in the preview you can see what's happening with the submodel here. So we'll take a look at that. Probably before we do the show, I'll just give you an idea of the submodel. If you haven't played with submodels, you have got to play with submodels. And I'm just scratching the surface. And it's so easy to do. So if we look at this submodel pumpkin here, this is my RGB pumpkin. All I've done was tell it to create an outline around the pumpkin so that I can have an impact with effects just on this outline. And then I also created one just for the top vine, because it's kind of cool just to make little circles and then have the vine join in. Whatever you want to do, there's really no limit. And there's some tutorials out there already showing you how to do this stuff, but you'll see mine in action here in just a bit. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at this. It's a shorter sequence. I know I'm known for some longer sequences. That thriller sequence, oh my gosh, come on, that thing's like over 5 minutes. So it was a relief to do this one that only is a little over 2 minutes. And of course, as I've said in my previous presentations or tutorials, I'm using Crockett Fantasy of Lights to do my lip syncing in the music because I don't have the time, and I think doing that would drive me crazy. Again, you know it's tedious work. So if you need that, Michelle is fantastic at it. So let's just watch this video and we'll see where it goes. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit so I don't kill you guys with this. Here we go.
afraid of no ghosts.
All right, so there you have it, Ghostbusters by Pentonix, a shorter song. So I took a pretty simple approach to this song. There's not a ton of layering in it. And if we just start with the house effects, and of course by me clicking on this, it's going to kind of take over and try to run things out of the P10 panel matrix. So ignore this. That's not how it will look. It's just because I'm selecting the model here. What are some things that I'm doing here that might be of interest? I'm going to pull this out of the way, and what we'll do is we'll just look at the effect settings here, just at the model level. And if we look in this section, let's just take a look here. This is a triangle effect with ripple. You can make circles, triangles, squares, and I just kind of had it make 2 triangles in this transition before it went into some colors, syncing with the music. And then I went into a big old fan. And the fan effect is great, and I believe the folks at xLights made some changes so that we could capture the entire house. Apparently it only expands so far in the past. I don't really remember that, but I like the effect, and it works great for me. And I'm just gonna pull this over, see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. And then I transitioned into just some twinkles, and then I went into a wave. I just wanted to create a wave with this section to kind of make it look interesting with the music before transitioning into a spectrogram, which gave this really cool effect here. And I like this. If I play this little section here, it's just kind of neat looking. It's just a neat effect. Get that out of the way. And then I go to a music effect, and I'm using morph on this. And I was just looking for some random stuff to fill this section. If you listen to the music in this part here, it's pretty and I really just wanted the house to kind of jump along to it. The key to this was using scale bars. In this section here, it's important, if you're going to do this on a whole house, select the scale bars, and that'll make everything jump around. And I told you to use individual notes and to be distinctive, because I like to be distinctive. Then we get to our first layer section on the house, and in this section here, if we play the music, so there's some kind of little high points and low points, and it feels like there's almost like a dragging sensation in the music. And I was looking for something that would give some kind of a stutter effect, so to speak. So check this out. Pick up the phone. We're gonna call Ghostbusters. Yeah. And I kind of dig that. And what that is a single strand with these settings here going from the middle. And below that on this first layer, I put a garland effect with the number 4 setting and set my cycles to 8. And by increasing the cycles, I was getting it to syncopate more with the music where that lull area was in the down part of it. All right. The next section, this just goes into a color wash. And I didn't really need to use a color wash. I was going to use some other colors, but I decided to just go with one. So a basic on color would work just the same, and I'm just using a shimmer. One thing that is interesting is in the brightness, I'm telling it to kind of get brighter as it goes. And then it goes into a simple little chase. And then back to a music effect. Actually, this is the morph. I'm going backwards, aren't I? What did I do that for? Because it's early and I haven't had enough coffee. All right, this next section. This is another layering effect for the whole house. And on the bottom, I just put in these twinkles. A whole bunch of little lights with these colors. And on top, I just wanted to have some movement. And that gave this effect here. Let's see if I can hit it right on the target.
Afraid of no ghosts.
And I like that. Now, that same effect with my Christmas setup would look a lot more defined. I have a lot more lights on the house for Christmas. So the last thing I want to do is upstage Christmas with Halloween. Because if you go too much on Halloween and you dazzle your audience and then you do Christmas and it looks the same, to me, I think we have to build on that. So Christmas is a bigger holiday in my mind than Halloween, but Halloween's fun. So I want to build up. That's why I'll bring out the big guns for Halloween. You won't see a ton of crazy effects. For Christmas, you won't see a ton of crazy effects in Halloween. You know, maybe next year I'll add a lot more RGB stuff and make a bigger show and maybe some fire and smoke and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's my first year, so I'm not going to go too crazy. This next section was a timing event color with a beat count. So that it's just syncing and jumping with the beat of the music. And for me, and then another layer effect. This time I'm going with the string strand on top of a butterfly effect. And I really like this one too. This turned out kind of cool, especially with the music. Check it out. All right, simple, huh? So there are no limits, guys. Go crazy with this stuff. And then just another timing event spike on the beat count. And then the last one are my pinwheels. I created 4 of them. And if you look here at the layer setting, you'll see that I just segmented them in different sections of the house to create 4 quadrants for the spinning wheels, and then chose whether they were going to be clockwise or counterclockwise. And then that was it. And then the big out, boom. So pretty simple stuff. If we look at all the stuff going on with the matrix, I have a lot of different video stuff going on. If I were to go to browse, you'll see I have several different videos to choose from that I've taken from the internet to use. And the opening scene is just something kind of with some ambience to get you ready to go. I went back and forth with using real video content from the original Ghostbusters and the newest Ghostbusters. And I was trying to mix it with the cartoons, and it just didn't seem to flow. There wasn't that continuity that I would expect. So I just found more cartoon footage that seemed to work and work with the music, and then some other things that were filler depending on the music that were easy to use. And then try to get the Ghostbuster to show up when they were saying Ghostbuster. Not always easy. And then this is a little vamp section here that was fun to do.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
And the trick to getting all this to work, you can have as many videos on here as you want. You have to use the start time. You have to move this around and find an area that you like. Hit update, see if it plays just right. And it takes some patience and practice, but once you get it right, it's pretty cool. Then I have a dancing skeleton that I really like in this section before we go into a floating ghost-like pumpkin, and I just put some lines around here. So I'm using a layer effect on my matrix with the floating pumpkin. That was kind of fun to do. And then also over here is just the last part before we end the show on that matrix. On matrix 2, whoop, did I just change? I did just change something. Let's fix that. I have a layer effect on top of the singing pumpkins that are on my matrix 2. And then over here, I create some colors with these guys, and it looks like this. So just because you have a matrix that has something that's on there doesn't mean you can't make effects with the matrix component itself or all around it or behind it. This section, this was really fun to do. This is we did there was tell it to change colors of the pumpkins themselves and create a border to try to match the house. And I think I have one last one here. I could probably put more in later. This one here was also to match the main matrix, the large matrix. And this, and believe it or not, if we go to our pumpkin and I double click here, you'll see that I also kept that theme going with the pumpkin. That is my RGB pumpkin. So I've got that pumpkin. I have a ribbon around the singing background pumpkins, and over here as well, a floating pumpkin. It's Pumpkin Pandemonium. All right. So again, these are my outlines for the singing pumpkin, different things I did with effects. And that's the jumping one. Let's get to the floods, shall we? I have a lot of floods that are going to be on the house. I believe these are going to be, I think they're 10 waters, maybe 20. I can't remember. Whatever Daryl is putting together for me is what I'm using. And I'm going to have 10 of these bad boys up on the house. And so am I overusing them, underusing them? I don't know. Until they're on the house, I'm not going to know how this looks. So this is really guesswork. I've never worked with any of this stuff. But the floodlights are going to be brand new. And so there's a whole lot of stuff. And then here's some random stuff going on in this section. This will be interesting to see how it looks. I'll pull this over here and I'll just play this section. I think it's right here. Yeah, it's anyone's guess how that's going to look. And then the rest are, I have some blinders that'll be in the corners of the house. And then my tombstone action. These are the items. Of course, that doesn't show up in the preview. I have to bring that up here to get you to see those. So I suppose I could play this little section here and. So I wish I had more complicated elements to share with you guys. I don't have anything remotely close to what I do with Mega Trees for my Halloween show thus far. That could change, but we are in September and I'm getting ready to start putting up things and testing. I've been working on upgrading my Falcon F16 V2R controllers to the latest beta software because I have profiles for Christmas saved on 4 of those. And I now have profiles for Halloween on 3 of those, which gives me a backup in case I need it for Halloween. Let's hope not. And I might make a tutorial on upgrading the F16 V2R. I think there's some of those out there, but there might be a nifty trick I can share with you on some of that stuff. So maybe later. Anyway, that's all I have, folks. Let me know what you think and take care.